Well, hello, and welcome to my sunroom. Thank you for joining me. Today I am going to be talking all about the behind the scenes of my website redesign, which launches today. So I'll put links to the new website underneath this. It's very exciting. And so I'm going to talk about why having a website is so vital for my business and allowing me to live the kind of life that I live. Websites over the years, what has changed in my business in this last year, and why I needed to make a change. So if you're new here, my name is Jane Lindsay and I run a business called Snapdragon Life, which helps people reconnect with the natural world and rekindle their creativity. And you can find out more about that down in the description here. So, websites. I started my business 23 years ago, and right from the start it was having some kind of presence on the internet that made the difference. Now, at that point there was forums and there was very new things called blogs. So I started a blog all about beginning a business and moving to the countryside and growing cut flowers. And I used to sell things from that blog. And it was brilliant for selling kind of one-off kinds of things. So if I made Christmas wreaths, for example, I could post pictures up on the blog, and then people would leave a comment. They would send a check in the post. I would bank the check, I would make the wreath, and I would send it off to them. Now, doing business that way was really a great lesson in the knowing, liking, trusting thing. And it was only possible because a few times a week I was writing about my life in this blog. So people felt that they really knew me, they could really trust me, hopefully that they liked me. And we did that kind of business. And then when I started to kind of produce more things, so there would be different products, that wasn't going to work in quite the same way because there was no way of doing a stock control, there was no way of giving people an overview. So very quickly I decided that I needed to have a website. And at that point, the way to have a website was to learn coding, which just now looking back seems ridiculous. But, having a small business, hello Dixie, having a small business, one of the things is that you learn things way outside your comfort zone. I was talking to the designer Hannah Nunn in a live in the Studio Club, which is my sort of online membership. She came along to give a talk, answer questions, that kind of thing. And we were talking about how when we started our businesses, we made our own websites and how they were quite ugly websites at that time, and how there was a tendency, if you got the coding slightly wrong, for all of your boxes to be a bit skew-iff. It's very different now. Now you can buy sort of off the peg, like template kind of websites, but back then you couldn't. So for a few years I ran my own website that was very, very ugly, but perfectly workable. And then I decided to upgrade to something that was going to be a bit more beautiful, because I wanted the beauty that is in the things that I make and the place that I live and all of this kind of thing to be obvious on the website. So I saw there was a potter, had a lovely website. I asked who did her website, and she said, it was Fuzzy Lime, which was a web design company in Glasgow. And I emailed them, and I had a meeting over coffee with Jill and David, who run Fuzzy Lime, and I just knew I had found my web designers. So from then until now, every time I have changed the website, they have done the design and tech from my kind of hand waving, oh, I'd like a bit like this and it needs to be flexible, and I'd like a forum and all this kind of thing. The reason that I haven't ever gone for a kind of template website is that my business has traditionally been a little bit ahead of the curve. So I started an online membership at a time that there were very few online memberships, and the template websites didn't have the capacity to deal with that. Even now I find them a bit clunky. But I could ask David to design something that was going to be bespoke to me. And then when I wanted a forum, and I was kind of wanting something that's very pared down, I didn't want to use Facebook, I wanted it all to be in the membership kind of area of the website. David was able to kind of do that and work out something that isn't going to be too noisy, but is going to be very easy to use. So that kind of thing. So every maybe 4 or 5 years, the website has had a bit of a refresh, or things have been added. And it has always worked really, really well. And for ages, it worked in a really steady way. And then, at some time last year, things changed. My traffic for ages had come from Instagram. Now, if you're on Instagram, you may be aware that over the last 18 months, maybe just a year, it's difficult to remember these things, the algorithm changed. So lots of people who had always had a really good reach with their posts, that if they posted something it would go to a significant number of the people who followed them, suddenly found that that reach wasn't there. And from being my primary source of traffic, Instagram fell to number three, after Google and Pinterest. And the difference that this made was really very striking, because people on Instagram, very much in the same way as the people from those original blogs, they knew who I was when they came to the website. So they had followed me for a while, they'd read lots of posts, they might have commented, we might have had conversations on DMs. They knew me, they hopefully liked me, and they definitely trusted me. So the website never really had to explain very hard what I do. It's kind of was all there, but I was talking to people who already knew. And that changed, because the people who were coming from Google or who were coming from Pinterest were coming from things that are really just search engines. They're not social. There had been no previous contact or conversations. They were coming from a nice picture that they'd seen on Pinterest onto my homepage, and they didn't know who I was, so they would just disappear off. So I thought, well, I need to kind of clarify things a bit, and I was thinking, well, maybe that I could do that with images. And just at the time that I was deciding to do that, into my email inbox came an email from Fiona Humberston at the Brand Stylist, and it was talking about a new course that she was doing with Cecilina Torberg, who's a fantastic photographer. And it was all about getting impactful photographs for your website. It was really about deciding what kind of photographs you needed for your website, and then being able to brief a photographer and a stylist to get those photographs. Now, I love taking photographs, so I'm not planning to hand that bit over to anybody. And I think I would also find a full day's photo shoot quite exhausting and debilitating. But I thought if I did that course, I would kind of get a feel for what I should be taking myself, what is going to be my brief to myself for these website photographs. And it is a fantastic course, and I really recommend it to you. But as part of the kind of the first group of people going through the course live, there was a bonus where Fiona and Cecilina picked at random 5 or 6 websites that they would kind of analyse and give feedback on. And my name came out of the hat, which at first was absolutely terrifying. And I was kind of like wanting to hide my website, kind of like website shame, even though it was perfectly nice looking, it was just, it wasn't working for the new audience. But when you think about it, to get feedback from 2 branding professionals was just priceless. So they looked at my website and they were incredibly kind about the photographs on there and the photographs on my Instagram and that sense of place. But it was really clear that they could not tell from the front page what it is that I did. And by the end of the sort of feedback session, I knew that it wasn't just a changing of the images that I needed. I needed to completely rethink the website and make it much clearer from the get-go what the different things are that are available on my website in my business. So almost immediately after that session in the course, I messaged David and Jill and said, look, I'm wanting to redo a whole load of things, and can we meet? And we met in Glasgow and we had lovely coffee and I explained all the different things that I was wanting. I was wanting flexibility, I wanted bigger images on the front page, I wanted really clear direction, and at the same time I'm wanting to tidy up that whole studio club thing because there is so much information in there. It's very easy for it to get cluttered and overwhelming and for people not to be able to find the things that they want. So I wanted a complete redo of all of that. And that is what I have been working with alongside David and Jill for the past couple of months. And today it launches and I'm really, really delighted with it. And what it gives me is the opportunity to put things up in blocks on this front page. It's much more, the images are much bigger, it's much less cluttered, there is this kind of feeling of spaciousness on the new front page. And I can try things out and I can see, I can look at my analytics and see whether things are working, whether they're not working. And just be much more intentional about it. Because the thing about all the things that I do at Snapdragon Life is they are all connected to kind of living a more intentional life, a life that is more connected with nature, life that is a chance to connect back into creativity, which is often something that people let slip over the years and would like to restart, but maybe feel a bit scared of doing so, which I completely understand because I was there as well. And these themes go right the way through the business. And, there is the Studio Club membership, and there are courses, and there are kits, and there are blogs, and there are videos here on YouTube, things, but it's all within the same themes. And it's all to do with connecting really deeply into the place where you are and paying attention and allowing that to kind of change your life. So websites are technology, and obviously I'm a part of the intentional life is kind of like to minimize excess technology But I could not live in the middle of nowhere in Scotland with an autoimmune condition, which, my energy is up and down, but a lot of the time it is down. It would be very difficult for me to work for somebody else. So having this opportunity to kind of connect and work and things with other people via the internet has just been the best thing in my life over the past 23 years. So it has made everything else possible. So all of the links to my new and improved and just so beautiful website are underneath here. And today, while stocks last, I'm actually giving away a free hand poured soy candle with every order over £50. So that's sort of like the launch bonanza. So anyway, thank you very, very much for watching. I would love to know your thoughts on the new website. And actually, I think that if you go over there, have a look, and then leave me a comment here, I will find something. I will send a candle. There we go. I will put one of the candles away just for somebody who leaves a comment here. And I will see you next week.